Michael Oher, the man whose life story, particularly as a youth, inspired the movie The Blind Side back in 2009, apparently that individual is not too pleased with the family who took him in, the family that was, depicted in the aforesaid movie. Because as per a recent court filing, Oher claims that the family, as seen in that movie, in his real life, that family never adopted him. And even worse, instead of adopting him, they tricked him into signing a conservatorship that wound up screwing him out of millions of dollars. My name's Hoyt, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the details of this court filing that can completely upend the feel-good story that is The Blind Side, here on The Breakdown.
And I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made it.
Hey guys, before we get into today's video, I just want to take an opportunity to quickly plug my brand new news website. That's right, I own a news media brand, The Breakdown News, which you can reach the website at thebreakdownnews.com. This is going to serve as a forum where we can cover news, politics, pop culture, so on and so forth, in a more kind of standardized news format, so that way if you just want a quick snippet, a quick story, or something you want a little bit more insight on that you feel maybe the mainstream media isn't covering in the most appropriate light, go ahead and check it out on thebreakdownnews.com. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, either or both. Once again, that's thebreakdownnews.com. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So on an August 14 filing out of Shelby County, Tennessee, Oher claims that Sean and Leanne Toohey exploited him rather than, just uplifted him and, gave him all the opportunity in the world, as was depicted in that 2009 movie, The Blind Side. The ex-Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman claims that once the Toohey family realized that he was a little bit gullible and had, athletic talent, they opted to exploit that talent for, their monetary gain. Now, for those who aren't aware or haven't been following Oher for the past decade plus in the wake of that Blind Side movie, he's been actually pretty vocally critical of the film because he was not particularly a fan of how he was kind of portrayed as like a dumb, not so smart character, amongst other things. But this latest court filing shows that there's a lot more stuff allegedly that went on behind the scenes that kind of, has the potential to upend that feel-good story, that Good Samaritan story. Oher says he initially got involved with Tooheys during the summer following his junior year of high school, after he claimed a broken social system in Tennessee left him homeless and in need of aid. Now, in this August 14 filing, Oher does, spell out, he does point out that the Toohey family did invite him to live with them, did take him on various shopping trips to get clothes, so on and so forth. And of course, eventually, before, Oher started his senior year in high school, the Toohey family invited him to live with them. Oher claims in the court documents, the Tooheys did tell Michael they loved him, and that they intended to legally adopt him. Michael believed them and was delighted to be part of a real and stable family and trusted Mr. and Mrs. Toohey completely. However, Oher says that, he had the wool pulled over his eyes and that what he thought was just, the world's kindest, greatest gesture eventually turned into, some kind of effort to turn him into a cash cow and also kind of pull off a few sneaky things along the way, including allegedly, never even trying to adopt him, but rather setting up a conservatorship and getting this young man, as he just turned 18, to, mistakenly sign away his rights. So Oher, who is now 37 years old, claims that the Tooheys presented him with legal papers that he assumed needed to be signed away in order to get the process going of the family adopting him. However, he says that he learned in February of this year that they were actually a petition to appoint them as conservators, a filing that would allow the Tooheys to have complete control over Oher's abilities to negotiate contracts, despite the fact that he was over 18 at the time and didn't have any kind of disabilities, which he does point that out. in the court filing that he was not mentally unwell, that he didn't have any physical or mental disabilities, but he got tricked into signing this conservatorship. Now, allegedly, one of the most damaging aspects of this conservatorship that, Oher claims that he was, misguided into signing, one of the most damaging parts of it was the fact that the family was able to use his likeness, negotiate deals that eventually led to the creation of that 2009 movie, The Blind Side. Something that, Oher claims he was really not involved in per se, insofar that he didn't really get any royalties, any big payday from it, none of that. The Toohey family got to sell that story, cash in on it, so on and so forth. In the court filing out of Shelby County, Oher says that the Toohey family got themselves and their kids, but not him, a contract price of $225,000 plus 2.5% of all future defined net proceeds from the movie The Blind Side. For the sake of context, I know it's been nearly 15 years since that film came out, but that movie grossed over $300 million. So the Toohey family was able to monetize basically this young man's life story and net their family and their children millions of dollars, and it seems as though that Oher got nothing. And again, just to reiterate, Oher claims in this filing out of Shelby County that the contract, the negotiation that was reached with 20th Century Fox, to produce this The Blind Side movie, it was done so in a way where he had to relinquish, apparently unbeknownst to him at the time, relinquish full rights to his story, his likeness, so on and so forth, without any payment. Imagine having a life story about your struggles and, your ascendancy made, and then you get nothing for it, even though the entire movie is centered around you. Now, what is critical in this matter is that Oher says in the filing, at no time did he ever willingly or knowingly sign this document regarding signing away his life story and his likeness. And Oher further claims that nobody even took any efforts to make him aware that this document existed. A document that Oher is claiming by proxy that was fraudulently signed in some way, shape, or form. Either, he didn't sign it and somebody else signed it in his stead, forged his signature, or what Oher is inferring is maybe he might have signed it, but didn't know what he was signing with respect to this, 20th Century Fox contract that completely left him out of the moneymaker known as The Blind Side. So what Oher is asking is pretty simple with respect to this filing out of Shelby County. He's asking a judge to put a stop to this conservatorship and also award him damages based upon the contracts that were negotiated by the Toohey family where he wasn't involved in the process or was left by the wayside, not given a cut, whatever. But what this really spells out is the precursor to a lawsuit, which, if what Oher is saying, if it is legitimately 100% true, then yeah, it does seem kind of reasonable for him to want to pursue damages if he was just completely, cucked in this entire situation. It's bad enough that he was in a movie that he doesn't like how he was portrayed, as the movie kind of portrayed him as like a big, dumb, lovable giant, which, again, as he's mentioned in the past, he doesn't have any kind of learning disability. He wasn't stupid. He wasn't like a Forrest Gump kind of character. What Oher does concede, though, with respect to that Blind Side movie, is, yes, as a youth, he had severe housing issues. He kind of fell through the cracks. And so he had stability issues with living in a stable house. But no, at no point, according to him, was he ever, kind of dumb. But outside of the fact that Oher has to deal with a, life story, a little bit of a short biopic existing that he feels like doesn't accurately portray him, he also has to exist with that, knowing he doesn't make any money from it, nor did he make any money from it, per this filing that he made. Now, of course, some people are saying, oh, he's only going after this because his career in the NFL is over, it's been over for a few years. And you want to know something? That's very well possible. But also, I think two things can be true at the same time. Yes, Oher's, NFL career could be over, it's been over for a few years. But also at the same time, he could have very well gotten the short end of a stick and gotten exploited as a youth, as a young adult, and had his story monetized, get tricked into a conservatorship, and so on and so forth. That could be true at the same time. So if that is the case, I think, yeah, absolutely, go after this Toohey family, because apparently, the Leanne Tooley and her husband, they aren't saying shit right now because they've been getting asked questions about this, and they've got no comment. Anyways, guys, I know that's a little bit of a shorter one, but that's pretty much the long and short of it. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comment section below, whether you believe this Oher character is just going for a quick payday and he's not entitled to anything, whether you think the Toohey family legitimately did exploit him. Whatever your thoughts are on the matter, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. Anyways, guys, that was the breakdown. Peace.